I think of her so much it drives me crazy. I just don't wanna leave. Like that annoys me to a level I can't even describe. Okay, Southwest Airlines Flight 1580 was not pilots doing the impossible. It's not to discredit the pilots at all. It's not easy to fly a plane on one engine, but it's not impossible. Not even fucking close. Okay. You go to any flight simulator, shut down one of the engines, you will fly just fine. Done it before. I've done it in many flight simulators. Every pilot has to know how to pilot their aircraft on one engine. In fact, engines are even, sorry, planes are even meant to fly on one engine because they legally have to be designed to do them. As we'll see later in the video, I can cite sources for this. So let's just get into like two things. One, why this flight wasn't whatsoever a pilots doing the impossible. And two, what that actually looks like. What a really hard scenario to get out of. It requires really good knowledge of your plane, of working with hundreds, like thousands and thousands of hours of flight experience. So let's get into it. As we can see here from the Wikipedia article, Flight 1380 did actually only lose one engine. It was caused by a detached blade fragment that's basically it broke, shot itself out, sucked itself back in, and then exploded the engine so much it ripped a hole in the aircraft. Not good, but it was only one. Uh, there's only one window. However, in a scene, in an article well, about planes flying on one engine, they said, "quote Absolutely, that is what they are designed to do." This is the full text. Pause if you want to read it. In fact, in another article, it even says that that in another flight from Perth to Sydney, a Boeing 737 flew flew for a quote about an hour to Sydney after it lost one of its engines, which kind of proves that it's not impossible to fly. If you really want a pilot quote doing the impossible, one good example of it is British Airways Flight 009 in on June 24th, 1982, which, as you can see from this photo, lost all four of its engines. Again, not good. What happened was, as the flight progressed, something called St. Elmo's fire began to accumulate on the windshield. Basically, imagine like bright flashes of light from everywhere outside your plane, including the windscreen. So basically, you're flying the plane. You can't see out the window anymore. It's all just light. Uh, However, one unfortunate thing that happened was smoke began coming in the cabin, which is not good considering fire at 32,000 feet can literally tear your airplane apart, as happened with a flight on Swiss Air in which fire broke out in the cabin and eventually just nosedived into the sea. Eventually, all four engines were flamed out due to what was causing the St. Elmo's fire. Eventually, the pilot announced after about 2 minutes of trying to get the plane restarted, he announced what has become known as a masterpiece of understatement. He said, quote, Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We have a small problem. All four engines have stopped. We are doing our damnedest to get them going again. I trust you are not in too much distress. End quote. However, the engines eventually started again once they descended to around 13,000 feet. The pilots then decided it would be a good idea, because their engines had just flamed out, to return to Jakarta. Good idea, pilots. Bravo. However, the St. Elmo's fire returned and was subsequent and engine 2 was subsequently shut down. What ended up happening was they flew through a big ol' ash cloud made by a volcanic eruption. It had happened before, And due to this and another incident afterwards, this airspace was subsequently shut down permanently. It still is, due to the fact that the volcano that caused this and around 3 to 4 other incidents is still active to this day. Now, tell me, which do you think is more, quote, impossible? One and a plane doing exactly what it was designed to do and the pilots doing exactly what they were supposed to do, or a completely uncalled for scenario in which the pilots of a Boeing 747 had to deal with being over the Indonesian Ocean and having all four of their engines unable to be restarted. Very hard question indeed. Thank you guys so much for watching. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to discredit the pilots of British Airways Flight 9 or Southwest Flight 1380. I'm just Nor am I trying to discredit the person who made the video in the beginning. Chances are they just saw one of the other 1,500 shorts who included that flight as pilots doing the impossible. Props to him for making that video. Anyways.
I was shot in the back of yellow cab in 1992. I try to avoid yellow cabs.
Mr. Steele, what do you use?
I'm in the subway, buses, Uber if I have to, but I find my way around. Shot 5 times by the guys in Gambinos. I'm not gonna back down. I'm not gonna back down.
Excuse me.